I really need to think of an intro at some point because you can't just be having this to start a video. Ah, well. Hello guys, here Tank99 here and welcome to today's video where today we're going to be going into my ladder predictions for the 2025 NRL season. From 17th to 1st, I'll have the unfortunate task of trying to predict exactly how the NRL regular season will finish and try to get the least amount of hate comments as humanly possible. Now, some of these predictions have been uttered in my previous video, which was the bold predictions, so if you've seen that video, some of them you'll already know from this one, but there are a lot of others which you just don't know, so this is where this video comes in. Again, like the warning from the bold predictions video, this is my opinion, unfortunately. Dangerous thing nowadays. Starting off with the wooden spoon for the 2025 NRL season. This is something that I've already said in my bold predictions video, so if you haven't watched that or have seen it, get ready. I think the Parramatta Eels will get the wooden spoon. Now, there is some positives definitely going into this year with the Parramatta Eels. Obviously, they've got Zach Lomax coming in, which is pretty positive because, you know, they needed somebody like that down the line, especially after losing Mike Acevo. But there's just been several problems that I've seen with Parramatta. Obviously, they're now coming in with a rookie coach. A lot of players have ended up leaving. For example, Mike Acevo, Dylan Brown's currently being shopped around at the moment. Regan Campbell-Gillard, I think, is also quite a big loss. And because the team dropped into that spoon bowl positioning last year, and I just don't know if the team has improved that much, I just think that they're going to be the unfortunate team that goes into the last place position, because I just think no matter how much talent Mitchell Moses and Zach Lomax has, it's going to be a rough season of them trying to get done. In 16th place, I have gone with the West Tigers. Now, this is, I think, like the third year in a row I've predicted they would not get the spoon. Will that finally happen? I don't know, but I just think that now the Tigers have built themselves up into a somewhat formidable team in comparison to the last couple of years. Obviously, bringing in Sania Taruva and Jerome Luai into their midst. So I just think, surely this has to be the year they don't get the spoon. Now, in comparison to like the other three-peat of wooden spoon being the Knights in 2015 and 2017, the Tigers is actually worse statistically in terms of wins. So I just think get it over with, just focus, and I think they should be able to finish out. Hell, this could be another spoon bowling case and the Tigers do one better than they did last time. Who knows? In 15th place, I've gone with the New Zealand Warriors. Now, they have lost a fair amount of players, whether it be to unfortunate circumstances or transfers. Anna Fanua-Blake going to Cronulla, and then you had the retirements of Sean Johnston, and of course, just recently, Tohu Harris. And I just think that even with some of the talent they still have, I think this is going to be a season they're going to kind of struggle because of the loss of the talents they've had. They could bounce up a little bit better. Could be a possibility. But yeah, I just don't really see him breaking out of the bottom four. In 14th place, I've gone with the Canberra Raiders. Now, how the NRL has formulated for the last couple of years is that between the positions of 7th and around 11th and 12th is all really close into the final bits of the season, where several teams could still make the finals. And because of how close this season will be, I actually think it will extend even further to the point of even reaching into the bottom four. And I just think out of those teams sort of in that similar positioning, I just think Canberra are kind of weaker, but I feel like they will start to develop over the couple of years and start rising up the ranks. I just think this year's just going to be a bit of a lull. In 13th place, and this is the one I'm going to get yelled at the most, I've gone with South Sydney. Now, South Sydney ended up finishing second last in a two-team race somehow. And obviously, they've brought in Wayne Bennett, they've brought in Lewis Dodd. Some good, decent talent, but I'm just a little bit confused about this whole, they're now challenging for the top 8, or even people saying like top 6, which I think, yes, Bennett's a good coach. I don't really see them making that immediate of an impact. So, hell, Latrell Mitchell does look well at the moment. He looks in pretty good condition. It's just as long as they all stay healthy, I think, yeah, they could possibly be in the midst of challenging for it, but I don't really see them making the 8 just yet. Next year, definitely, probably. This year, not so sure. In 12th place, I have gone with my team, the Newcastle Knights. I just feel like the team is going to potentially go through some unfortunate form, and just kind of drop off a bit. Like, we still very much have good talent. When they're on song, they can be a good team that challenges teams. But I'm not so sure about them challenging for the finals this year. It's hard to say. And obviously you've got the off-contract situation going on at the end of this year, and as well Leo Thompson leaving at the end of this year as well. And there could be a possibility the Knights could start going down. But hey, the Knights made the finals somehow last year, so it wouldn't shock me if they do it again and piss even more people off. 11th place, I've gone with the Gold Coast Titans, and at the beginning of the season, they got immediately just nerfed when Tino Fasua-Malawi got his ACL done, or something along those lines where he was out for the year. But now I think they've brought in some good talent. I mean, Regan Campbell-Gillard, I think it's going to be pretty interesting to see how he'll go in said forward pack. And I think on their day, pretty strong, not going to lie. So I genuinely think that the Titans should be able to improve themselves. Be in the midst of potentially, they could hover around maybe like 8th at some point during the season. But I just think they'll just be a little bit short, but they will improve. 10th place, I've gone with the Sydney Roosters. It's kind of a bit of a bad kept secret that essentially this year is kind of a bit of a rebuild for the Roosters. They've obviously have lost a considerate amount of talent, but they have brought in some to try to keep it in their midst. They've got Chad Townsend in as halfback. And they've got some good young players coming in like Mark Nwangi-Tawasi, who's going to step up this year, and he's the person I have as my Rookie of the Year. But I just think that the Roosters will kind of take a break in terms of potentially premiership building to then build themselves on to get up into those top echelons of the clubs, say next year and 2027 onwards. Kind of like what they did back in 2016, but not as far down the ladder as it was back then. 9th place, and I have gone with the North Queensland Cowboys. Now, don't get me wrong, they still have a lot of good players, but I just think with the core leavings of Valentine Holmes, Kyle Felt, and Chad Townsend might affect them just a little bit. And I just think because of how competitive it is, I think it'll be like the Cowboys will need to win on the final day type stuff. It's gonna be ridiculous because I think the Cowboys are gonna miss out on the finals by points difference. That's how close I think it's going to be with them. But yeah, I do think they're a very talented bunch. I mean, they've still got absolutely star-studded players. But I just feel like there's one team that I feel like I need to pick to miss out, and it's unfortunately going to be the Cowboys. Now we move into the top 8, and in 8th place, I have the Dolphins making their first final season. Now, kind of in a very similar vein to North Queensland, I think they're going to be very close in that positioning, but I feel like they'll just creep into the finals. And I've said it'll be on the final round they will do it. I think they've got a pretty solid team. I've also got Daniel Saifiti being brought in, bit of a veteran presence in the forward pack. And I'm just seeing a lot of people not really rating the Dolphins, especially because, Wayne Bennett left. And usually when Wayne Bennett leaves a team, the team capitulates. But I feel like this might be the one to break the trend, and I think the Dolphins will make their first ever final series. 7th place, and I've gone with the St. George Illawarra Dragons. It's very exciting for me how I see they've been going down with their recruitment. They did lose Ben Hunt. I mean, I think a lot of people from the Dragons are happy that he's gone because there was a whole lot of drama in between the two parties, but now they've got the players like Valentine Holmes, Clint Gutherson, Damien Cook. Those are 3 very solid players. And I just think that with the way Flanagan's going to have it at the moment, I think this is where they buck the trend and make the finals, because I think they play some alright football for the last couple of years. I think now will be fully on display as they go on and make the finals. In 6th place, I have gone with the Manly Sea Eagles. Now, obviously the big talking point last year was the partnership between DCE and Luke Brooks. Very excited to see how that formulates again. Hopefully it's even better for Manly fans. Their forward pack is definitely going to be something that makes or breaks their season, so be interesting to see how that goes. But I do see Manly making the finals and being one position up and hosting a finals match. Manly vs Dragons at Brookie in an elimination final. That's a tasty matchup if that does end up happening. In 5th place, I have gone with the Brisbane Broncos. Now, this is putting a lot of trust into them of Michael Maguire, completely making this side bounce back after last season and all of the off-season turmoil regarding certain players. I definitely feel like Brisbane have the talent to do well. They've still got Reynolds, who just needs, time to be a little bit more consistent. Reece Walsh, they just need to harness it. They basically need to get rid of the ego essentially, and the boys club mentality of Brisbane. And Michael Maguire is the right coach to do that, so he just strips that all away and just puts the fear of God into them and tells them to play well. I think he will be probably the coach that really Brisbane needed and just, make the finals, bounce back and win Coach of the Year. In fourth place, and now this is another one that was mentioned in the bold predictions video, but fourth place, I have the Canterbury Bulldogs. I just think they've been getting better over the last couple of years with each year, and I feel like now is where we can officially start talking about them entering a premiership window. Like we saw last year at the end when they were on that massive run of form, they had the entirety of their fan base in a frenzy, like in comparison to, say, the Knights and the Warriors back in 2023. Unfortunately, losing their home elimination final to Manly, but I feel like this is where they prolong it, keep it going, and they end up in the top 4. Third place, and this one is going to be interesting, I have Penrith. Yes, I know it's silly, having the team that has gone in 5 straight grand finals, 4 straight premierships, to have them coming third. But I just feel like with the players that are finally leaving, is there now a level playing field? And I feel like it has to come through at some point, and I feel like that kind of is now. But still, I mean, it's not taking anything away from Penrith. They are still very much the team to beat in the NRL. I just think that there's a new team currently at the top in terms of the regular season. Whether or not they actually enter into their era of dominance in terms of winning premierships, it's hard to tell. But I mean, Penrith is still going to be a good team. Like, it's not like I'm having them just completely fall off. Second place, I have gone with another one which I think is people are going to be questioning why, is the Cronulla Sharks. Now, Cronulla Sharks have made the top 4 for the last couple of seasons now. Now, most people still have the belief they're kind of one of the worst top 4 teams because in some of the games where they really should be dominating, they don't perform as well. And then there was the thing about how they just couldn't win a finals game to save their life. But I feel like this year, they will try to put that to bed as they enter now a proper premiership window. You got Adam Fanua-Blake, beast in the forwards. You've got a very stacked team. I know Ronaldo Mulatalo is currently being looked at by Brisbane, but I mean, you keep him there, and the Sharks are a very, very good team. Hopefully, going to be led by Dally M winner for this year, Nico Hines. And also, they got over their hump about winning a finals game when they beat the North Queensland Cowboys in the semi-final last year. So hopefully this starts to spinball and potentially push them into prelim final. Maybe the grand final. And last but not least, definitely not least, is we come to who I think will be the minor premiers for this year. And I think it's pretty obvious. It's the Melbourne Storm. I think, it's not really much that can be said, but they've definitely stepped up in the last couple of years. Unfortunately, didn't really show up in the grand final last year, but they are, I think, going into this season as the flag and standard bearers for the best team in the competition. Jerome Hughes, I think, is going to have a big year. He's going to win the Clive Churchill Medal because that's also a prediction. I think Melbourne are going to win the grand final this year. And that is my ladder prediction for the 2025 NRL season. Who do you guys have in your ladder predictions? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you all later.